and so on throughout the rest of the event. Our divers for the girls, once again, we've got Erin O'Neill, Katie Isleworth from Southend, Isla Berry and Ellie Duthie from Aberdeen Diving Club, Emma Mansfield and Kalila McCrickard, Southend Diving and Cambridge Dive Team, Ella Sweet and Samantha Barr, Southampton Diving Academy, Ema Southerly and Willow Custine McGrath from City of Sheffield Diving Club, and Isla Alpin and Ava Cowper from Plymouth Diving. Our boys, once again, just to remind you, we have Joshua Saxton and Leo Robinette from Dive London Aquatics Club and Star, Tom Mantle and Jamie Lampu from Edinburgh Diving Club, Will Heath and Oscar Westbury from Plymouth, and Rami Cooper and Harry King from Southampton. And with the referee's permission, we will get going. Erin O'Neill and Casey Isleworth, Southend Diving, back dive piked. Execution, 6, 5, 6, 5.5. Synchronization, 6, 6, 5.5, 6.5, 7. Isla Berry and Ellie Duthie, Aberdeen Diving Club, inward dive piked. Six, 6.5, 6.5, 7. Synchronization, 7, 7, 6.5. Apologies, 7, 7, 6, 7.5, 7. Emma Mansfield and Kaylee McCrickard, Southend Diving and Cambridge Dive Team, inward dive piked. Execution, 6.5, 6.5, 5.5, 6. Synchronization, 6, 5.5, 5.5, 6, 6. Ella Sweet and Samantha Barr, Southampton Diving Academy, inward dive piked. Execution, 5.5, 5.5, 6.5, 5. Synchronization, 6, 5, 5, 5.5, 5.5. Ema Southerly and Willow Custine McGrath, City of Sheffield Diving Club, inward dive piked. Execution, 7, 6, 7, 6.5. Synchronization, 6.5, 7.5, 8, 8, 7.5. And last for the girls, Isla Appin and Ava Cowper, Plymouth Diving, forward dive piked. Execution, 4.5, 3, 5.5, 5. Synchronization, 4.5, 4.5, 5, 5, 4.5. Round one for the boys. Joshua Saxton and Leo Robinette, Dive London Aquatics Club and Star Diving Guildford. Inward dive piked. Execution, 7.5, 7. 8, 7.5. Synchronization, 7.5, 7. 6.5, 7.5, 7.5. Tom Mantle and Jamie Lampew, Edinburgh Diving Club. Forward, 1.5 somersaults, piked. Execution, 5.5, 5. 6.5, 5. Synchronization, 4, 3.5, 4, 4, 5.5. Will Heath and Oscar Westbury, Plymouth Diving. Inward dive piked. Execution, 6, 7. 5.5, 5.5. Synchronization, 6, 6, 4.5, 5.5, 6. And our last divers in round one, Rami Cooper and Harry King, Southampton Diving Academy, inward dive piked. Execution, 6, 5.5, 5, 5. Synchronization, 5.5, 5.5, 5.5, 6, 5. On to round two, Erin and Casey. Inward, apologies, I'll announce again. Erin and Casey, reverse dive piked. Execution, 4.5, 3.5. 5, 4.5. Synchronization, 4, 4.5, 4, 6, 4. Isla and Ella, forward 1.5 somersaults piked. Execution, 5, 4.5. 6, 5. Synchronization, 5, 6, 5.5, 6, 6. Emma and Kalila, forward 1.5 somersaults piked. Execution, 4.5, 4, 4.5, 4.5. Synchronization, 5, 5, 5, 5, 4.5. Ella and Samantha, back dive with tuck. That's partly my problem. Execution, 5.5, 6. 6, 6.5. Synchronization, 7.5, 6, 7, 7, 7. Emma and Willow, back dive with tuck. Execution, 6, 6.5. 5.5, 5.5. Synchronization, 8, 8, 8.5. 7, 6.5. Isla and Ava, back dive with tuck. Execution, 5.5, 5. 6, 5.5. Synchronization, 5.5, 6, 6, 7.5, 6.5. Josh and Leo, back dive with tuck.
When they have announced the name, pause the music. When they hit the water, play the music. Very simple. Did you copy?
No, not even. I thought it was written.
Well, it's collected. Probably did. Let's be honest.
Execution, 7, 7. 7.5, 8. Synchronization, 8.5, 6.5, 7.5, 8.5, 6.5. Tom and Jamie, inward dive pikes. Execution, 7, 6. 6.5, 7. Synchronization, 7, 7.5, 7, 6, 7.5. Will and Oscar, reverse dive with tuck.
We're exactly where we're meant to be.
Execution, 5.5, 4.5. 6, 5.5. Synchronization, 5.5, 5.5, 5.5, 6.5, 6.5. Rami and Harry, back dive with tuck. Execution, 4, 4. 5, 5. Synchronization, 4, 5.5, 4.5, 6, 4.5. On to round 3. Erin and Casey, forward 1.5 somersaults, pikes. Execution, 5, 5. 6, 4.5. Synchronization, 5, 5, 6, 6, 5.5. Isla and Ella, back dive pikes. Execution, 4, 4. 6, 6.5. Synchronization, 4.5, 5.5, 6, 5.5, 5. Emma and Kalila, forward double somersaults with tuck. Execution 7-6, 5-6. Synchronization 6.5, 6, 6, 6, 6. Ella and Samantha, forward 1.5 somersaults piked.
So I'd have to do a poster and somehow advertise it. And on there, I just put star.
Maybe it's a Sunday.
Execution 5-5, 5-6. Synchronization 5.5, 5.5, 5.5, 6.5, 5.5. Emma and Willow, forward 1.5 somersaults piked.
Anything. It's more of a risk for me.
Execution 5.5, 5.5. 6, 6. Synchronization 6.5, 7, 7.5, 6, 6.5. Isla and Ava, forward 1.5 somersaults piked. Execution 4.5, 4. 5.5, 4. Synchronization 5, 5.5, 5.5, 6, 4.5. Josh and Leo, forward double somersault with tuck. Execution 4.5, 4.5. 5.5, 5. Synchronization 5.5, 6, 5.5, 6, 5. Tom and Jamie, reverse dive piked. Execution 5, 4.5. 4.5, 4.5. Synchronization 5, 5, 5.5, 4.5, 5. Will and Oscar, inward 1.5 somersaults with tuck.
Very synchronous.
4.5, 4.5. 4.5, 4.5. Synchronization 5.5, 6.5, 6.5, 6, 6. Rami and Harry, inward 1.5 somersaults with tuck. Execution 5.5, 4.5. 5, 6.5. Synchronization 6.5, 6, 5.5, 6.5, 6. And our final round of dives. Erin O'Neill and Casey Illingworth. South End diving, inward 1.5 somersaults with tuck. Execution, 4.5, 4.5, 3, 3.5. Synchronization, 4, 5.5, 5, 4.5, 4. Isla Berry and Ella Duffy, Aberdeen Diving Club. Forward double somersaults with tuck. Execution, 5, 4. 4, 4.5. Synchronization, 5, 5, 6, 6, 6. Emma Mansfield and Kalila McCrickard, Southend Diving and Cambridge Dive Team. Back 1.5 somersaults with tuck. Execution, 6.5, 6, 5, 6.5. Synchronization, 6.5, 6.5, 6.5, 7.5, 7. Ella Sweet and Samantha Barr, Southampton Diving Academy, inward 1.5 somersaults with tuck. Execution, 4.5, 4, 5, 6. Synchronization, 5.5, 6.5, 5.5, 6.5, 6.5. Ema Southerly and Willow Stephen McGrath, Sheffield Diving Club, inward 1.5 somersaults with tuck. Execution, 5, 4.5, 5.5, 6. Synchronization, 5.5, 6, 6, 6, 7. Isla Applin and Ava Cowper, Plymouth Diving Club, inward 1.5 somersaults with tuck. Execution, 5, 6, 5, 4.5. Synchronization, 4.5, 5, 4, 4, 4.5. Joshua Saxton and Leo Robinette dive London Aquatics Club and Star Diving Club Guildford, inward 1.5 somersaults with tuck. Execution, 6, 6.5, 4.5, 5.5. Synchronization, 6.5, 5.5, 7, 7, 7. Tom Mantle and Jamie Lampew, Edinburgh Diving Club. Forward 2.5 somersaults with tuck. Execution 4, please. Execution 4, 3.5. 5, 4.5. Synchronization 4.5, 6.5, 5, 6, 5. Will Heath and Oscar Westbury, Plymouth Diving Club, back 1.5 somersaults with tuck. Execution 5, 4. 5, 5.5. Synchronization 4, 5.5, 5, 6, 5. And our final pair of divers in this event, Rami Cooper and Harry King, Southampton Diving Academy, forward double somersault with tuck. Execution 3.5, 4, 5.5, 6. Synchronization 5, 5, 4.5, 5, 5. Thank you, divers. Thank you, judges. And thank you, athletes. That concludes this round of dives and our events for day 1 of the 2023 National Age Group Diving Championships. If you please bear with us, we will shortly have the results for that event and the medals and parades. And once again, just before we finish for the day, we have a video from our sponsors, Speedo.